Hello, everyone. So thank you for joining us. And today I'm going to start our mutual team presentation. UW Startalk going remote with successful in-person STEM program for heritage Russian students. And first of all, I want to introduce the team because our program is definitely a team work. And so please wave if you can. Dr. Paul Aoki, a principal investigator of the program. Unfortunately, Angie Macmillan, who was the director of our program for several years, is not here, but we all are saying hello to her. And Dr. Russ Hugo, technical support and consultant, and our great friend of the program. Dr. Michelle Aoki, the consultant of our program, and our instructor team. It's me, Svetlana Abramova, and I'm a lead instructor of the program. My colleagues, my dear colleagues, Veronika Mushkeli, project lead. She leads biology project, and Alexey Kuznetsov, he leads project on science fiction. Okay, so due to we all know this COVID factor, we needed to convert our program to online format. And we did it with several tools. Of course, it's Zoom live streaming classes and meetings through the program and pre-program interviews. We needed to convert our materials and assessments through UW LLC model. We created additional materials and online learning tools via Padlet, and I hope to demonstrate a couple of them to you today. And we converted our testing, which we usually had as our writing proficiency, actual writing proficiency assessment and oral proficiency interview, computer-based. This year, last summer, we used online stamp proctoring testing for our students. And usually we had our program and their major components are morning STEM classes, 2 units, Voyage to Mars and Airplanes, 2 Museum of Flight visits, which are, and our unit, every unit, interviews with Russian-speaking professionals, Pulsar, it's language self-assessment tool, online tool, 3 afternoon elective projects, depend on students' interests. At the very end of the program, student project conference and proficiency tests. This this time we need to think about which components we can keep and which we unfortunately would not be able to use. For example, we would be able to keep our STEM classes, but we would not be able to visit Museum of Flight at the very end for our role plays and for labs, aerodynamic labs. But we still were able to work with our Russian-speaking professionals and invite them for interviews online via Zoom. Instead of Pulsar self-assessment, we created a language portfolio in our Moodle platform. We kept our afternoon elective projects, but we decided to keep 2 of them instead of 3. And I will tell you why it happened. And because we worked really hard on students' projects, so we definitely wanted and kept a student project conference, which is the major event of our program. And at the very end, we went for proficiency tests. As I said, it was stamped Proctored online tests. What changed with our morning classes? We had to create more carefully designed schedule. For example, we created shorter classes, and we had to think about how our classes we changed from breakout room formats to short lecture format through several helping tools and assessments like short videos and discussion forums. We also reviewed and developed materials for self-paced assessment, which was very important for us because students, it's really hard for them to keep attention at the same form of classes. So we created materials to help them to spend their quality time and work independently or in groups. And we created more time and space, online space for individual interests and comprehension reading of students' choices, so-called library day. One example of how we converted our assessments was our summative assessment interview with Russian-speaking professionals. I had to say that this time it was even easily for us to invite and to interview via Zoom our guest speakers, because this time they actually went to our virtual classroom through very different corner of the world. So from Moscow, from Canada, we were able to invite our guests and our students were able to talk to them and ask them, interview them in real time classroom. As usual, we started with asking our guest speaker to send their bios, and students first of all read through their bio to be able to prepare questions to interview them. And this time we used discussion forums, Moodle discussion forum, to create a set of questions, and we assigned our students to work in groups in our breakout rooms in Zoom, and they prepared and shared with each other their questions in discussion forum, in Moodle discussion forum. And after that, we met in our Zoom classroom with our guest speakers for listening their presentations, and then interviewed them with prepared and new questions which were arised during the presentation. And at the very end, we with students reflected on these interviews and wrote a thank you letter, again with my help with scaffolding materials in our discussion forums. Again, I had to say that we had several advantages with running this year program through Zoom and Moodle online. So most steps were easily to adjust, like working via discussion forum and preparing questions. Again, as I said, we had more flexibility to find and invite our guest speakers. And actually, it was kind of meaningful written communication when we had to communicate via Moodle discussion forums, and it was not an artificial written task. It was a very meaningful and real life task to write letters, thank you letters to our guest speakers. And I want to give you a point of view of our program director point of view, some notes about our program. So about enrollment, we had a pretty good amount of applications through our Startalk website. So 66 students applied for our program. And we selected after pre-program interview 20 students, our target number of the students, and unfortunately, due to very different circumstances, and probably because some of students were not able to keep the entire academic year online, and then at the very end, their summer break, again online program. So we lost actually 7 students at the very beginning of the first week of the program. And I had to add that we had probably the second time through entire 10 years when we ran Startalk program, we had 2 students who needed additional time, a week to complete the program to earn university credits. And about testing. So as I said, we had proctored stamp testing, and this time actually our students had to take the testing twice, before the program and after the program. And it was the first time when we used the same assessment 2 times. So this time we are sure that the results we can see are truly the same the same level assessment results. So it's good to see that 70% of our students gained their proficiency on one sub-level, at least one of the model of communication, and 40% of students gained their proficiency on more than one, on 2 or 3 modes of communication. And probably you want to know of communication. Students were able to gain most of all. What do you think? Which mode? Writing, reading, speaking, or listening? What's your guess? No. Actually, it's reading. It's reading the mode of communication which our students were be able to gain most of all, 70% students. And I believe that it's because we added specifically targeted to comprehension reading library day assignment. Our face-to-face highly communicative program, usually we didn't have enough time to sit quietly and read for developing these reading skills. And this year we had time to do it. And all our participants received their earn testing credits to receive their high school credits, and had university credits. And almost all of them are qualified for the seal of biliteracy. Among our program results, I had to tell that our students not just gained their proficiency in Russian, but they also be able to achieve their personal goals, to make new friends, to learn new information and gain their knowledge on STEM fields, and to be able to run research and gain their presentational skills to the end of the program student project conference. And of course, having a better understanding and appreciation of the value of language learning. And for us as instructors, as educators, was important to learn our own goals. And it's important to remember that when you convert your program from face-to-face to online format, our students have to be aware of new features of this online format. And we definitely need to ask them if they are ready to attend fully online program, because not everybody are prepared to do it. And we need to allocate additional time and explain how all our online tools work, and maybe repeat several times and checking for comprehension about how it works. And in case if we need to test our students, we have to have a backup plan in case if something goes wrong. Testing and some delays, so be prepared and have a backup plan. Additional, actually, features of online advantages of online program is that we were able to enroll students from different states, not from only our Great Seattle area, as we usually have for our face-to-face program. And this time we learned how to balance between synchronous group task and self-paced activities, which I believe contributed really well to our students' proficiency, especially for reading. And we were able to carefully select and calibrated level of authentic reading materials, and develop totally new program assessment for Library Day. And again, we had dedicated time for guided written task via our Moodle discussion forum, which is very important for heritage learners. And I already told you that this meaningful communication through discussion forums and our written tasks, such as thank you letter and write a review or recommend an article you have read in your library day, also are very meaningful and communications task, which I definitely recommend for heritage students. So here are some insights, and the only thing I had to probably finish with my presentation and ask my colleagues to continue and told us about projects. So, Veronica, it's probably your turn. So I'm leaving.
If you stop sharing,
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen. I'm Veronica Musieli. I lead a biology project, and Svetlana has given you a wonderful overview of the program. So I will focus on just one aspect, and that's hands-on aspect, which is one of the principles of Startalk. So it will be a quick kind of compare and contrast of hands-on tasks, collaboration, movement, which characterize learner-centered classroom, one of the Startalk principles. And quick review of what our traditional program looks like, very much hands-on. The sort of centerpiece is microscopy. Students learn how to use this tool. They take a test, get a certificate in microscopy, use my design certificate. They prepare microscope slides, develops their staining protocols. So, and they work as a team, designing the experiment, conducting experiment, collecting data, analyzing data, presenting data. So there's a lot of collaboration. And then of course, we have a lot of movement in the lab. We have a lot of movement in terms of field trips to research and clinical labs, as well as Slavic languages and literatures department. We're on the campus after all. And some plant biology modules take place on the campus when we look at the gardens that surround us. So as far as hands-on tasks in online format, so we had the loss of this exciting real biology lab. Microscopy part is gone. So I think that explains why maybe there was a little bit less interest in biology than usual. So I've finished having only 5 students for the project. But I think once we started working on that, the students were very successful in setting up the experiments at home. And there was this additional realization that science can happen anywhere. On the margin, so to say, I have some illustrations from student work. Here is a project on germination of radish seedlings in different conditions. We also had a project on artificial pollination. And we even had a project on the rate of growth of human hair taking place in the bathroom. I also would notice that there was a greater involvement of family, Russian-speaking families. So this was an additional benefit. As far as collaboration, in the 3 years that I taught in person, we only once had an individual product. Students like to work in teams. This was different. Teams were not as popular in an online modality. And I think it has to do with perceived difficulties of coordinating their work online. Again, another illustration of what has been done. This is a pollination project. Here, the student is counting the number of grains with a magnifying glass when she tested different materials for a collection of grains. As far as movement, this is the hardest one to reproduce or replace. We didn't have excursions. We had visits by Zoom. Though I should say, yeah, we had more visits this time. I would say that, you know, it would be great to have sort of a synchronous video walk rather than just a PowerPoint presentation. Here is an example of one of our visitors, a doctoral student in bioengineering program, Irina Kopyova, came to talk to our students. So what are my conclusions? It is possible to have a successful learner-centered classroom online with hands-on activities. They're probably the most readily organized. it is possible to promote collaboration. It may take more effort. And, excuse me, field trips are the most difficult to replace. And yet there are some benefits that we learned. I mean, not only that we can do it online, but also some of the lessons could transfer to our in-person modality. There are fantastic scientists that are available worldwide. The learning management system is extremely helpful. Discussion forum I'm going to keep with the in-person ones. And then, of course, the experiments were still wonderful. The conferences presented, okay, this is probably the easiest to relate to their data and their results. We had wonderful images of their data, and they talked about how they interpret their data. It was a successful program, and whether we will have to go online or teach in person, it will continue to be one. Thank you. Alexei.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. So here is a very brief overview of the program, of the project we had in my class. So the pictures are from the pre-pandemic times, as you can notice. We had the very popular robotics project, where again the qualities of it were also like collaborative, active engagement, and hands-on activity. And it consisted of building the robot from the Lego set and then programming it to do whatever the students wanted it to do. But I guess I'll cut it down right to the messaging. The project was done in STEM, so again, we wanted to maintain this kind of general theme. However, this year I went a very different direction because of the several reasons. For the first one, I've always been concerned about this notion of like supply and demand, or demand and supply in the language learning. So we, being one of the less commonly taught languages, are probably at the so the decisions of what we're learning, who we can enroll in our classes are very limited. So because the limited amount of class time we have, we did focus on STEM a lot. But with the pandemic itself, presented this question of like, how much technology do we have in our life? And with the modern changes in the society, I feel that just focusing on technology alone and how we execute things is not enough, right? So the ethical questions came to the forefront during the pandemic, and it was also a good question of like, how was Russian seen all this time that we taught it in the US, and how do we make sure that our students are learning not just about technology, for example, but the ethical use of technology, and how they see themselves as the Russian speakers, that they're again not just told that the Russian language is necessary for whatever the National Security Agency funding the startup program decides to see and curtail the vision, but also how they themselves want to in the future take lead in their own research and the way they sort of present themselves as Russian Americans. To this day, every time I work in a public school, we are asked to kind of show our pride in multiculturalism. I wonder what kind of flag to show, and with the the war which is looming, and which I would like to acknowledge in this short time, I'm always afraid to put the Russian flag, but the alternative would be like the Soviet flag, which is also has very, very negative connotations to that. At the same time, that is why as a language teacher, I do kind of try to, separate the culture from language in some ways, to question, critically how language is seen in different situations and contexts. And for that reason, with that project, we departed from the idea of STEM, and there is this new vision of mesh I learned a while ago about, and that really opened up an opportunity to discuss the ethics of technology, the ethics of even language learning in a variety of spaces with the students, so that they could select the project that really connects with them, which is really relevant, and which allows them to view history from a variety of perspectives. Because of this limited opportunity for hands-on learning, because of the transformed educational landscape, which had lots of technology, which did allow to bring students from around the state, but at the same time, brought that exhaustion from the technology. And the growing tech savviness, just in general, like the Lego robotics project, was no longer interesting to a lot of high school students. They do it in elementary school these days. We kind of, I selected this project of, sorry, I'm trying to rush here through the project of science fiction, where the students build this interdisciplinary project. They could focus on researching almost any topic which is present in science fiction. And the variety of material was just absolutely abundant, because of the, even the graphic images from the historical days, from the present time, how technology was seen back then, and how we're still, kind of put a lot of hope in technology, but at the same time understand its limitations and dangers. It opened up a lot of possibilities for the students. And as I said, there were the materials starting with popular science and ending up with university articles, which the students were able to find at their level, where I supported them all across the way. So it did look a little bit more like maybe university like level undergrad project for them. Unfortunately, there was a lot of individual work, not that much collaboration, though we did take a lot of time to discuss, and the students shared a lot about what they learned. As you can see, the topics they ended up with were very, very broad, but they learned from each other. They were able to dive into history, and after all, I feel like they do see the pride in learning the language. They do see the need in keeping it going, and do separate themselves from how the language is presented and seen in the general American context these days, or even how American or English language is seen in Russia. So they are able to bring this critical thinking and multiple perspectives to their own research and further language learning.